In the third year of my secret crush on Zhou Jinghe, I married him a year later, at the ski resort. Both his close friend and I found ourselves in danger at the same time. Zhou Jing rushed over at full speed, shielding his female friend as they tumbled to the ground. When I fell onto the snow, I suddenly felt utterly pointless. Boring things just have to be thrown away. 1. For our first wedding anniversary, Zhou Jinghe and I went to Switzerland. I met Shen Shuwen at a private ski resort owned by his friend, a woman who is the complete opposite of her name, not conventionally pretty, but exuding a unique vitality. She is highly skilled in extreme sports. It is said that she first met Zhou Jing at a ski resort, Shen Shuwen, and I slid down one after the other. Ahead on the curve, her ski pole suddenly dropped. I failed to stop suddenly, and my skis came off as I instinctively curled up and rolled down. A dark shadow rushed in from the side. A silver restraint strap flashed in the crook of my arm. I'm very familiar with it. I personally put it on Zhou Jinghe half an hour ago. Zhou Jinghe rushed toward Shen Shuwen and, relying solely on his arm strength, lifted the struggling Shen Shuwen out of harm's way. My back slammed into the guardrail net on the ski slope, and the searing pain made everything go black, accompanied by the gasps of the crowd. Through the dizziness, I saw Zhou Jinghe turn over and shield Shen Shuwen beneath him, as chunks of snow pelted down onto his back with a crackling sound. I tilted my head back to catch my breath, and my nose and mouth filled with snow, cold and painful. The snow melts with each breath, and as I lower my head, something warm falls. I stared at the patch of red on the snow for 2 seconds before realizing it was blood. 2. A crowd rushed to my side, and the rescuer, a foreigner, immediately started speaking rapid English. My ears were ringing, my vision was blurry, and I couldn't make out a word he was saying. Zhou Jinghe scrambled to his feet and ran toward me, but in his haste, he stumbled on the hard-packed snow. Zhou Jinghe dared not make any rash moves and turned to communicate with the foreigner. I turned my head and caught sight of Shen Shuwen through the crowd. She looked as if she had just stood up, brushing snowflakes off her clothes. The moment our eyes met, she smiled down at me from above. For some reason, I actually started laughing too, but the laughter turned into coughing, and my mouth was filled with the taste of blood. Everyone froze. Zhou Jinghe leaned in, his eyes reddened. Jing, say something, don't scare me. I couldn't speak, too many words tangled together, piercing sharply into my ears. Zhou Jinghe scooped me up in his arms, the familiar scent of his woody cologne mixed with a hint of coldness, and I nestled closer into his embrace. His heart was racing, and his hands were trembling, as if he was terrified. Amid the chaos and turmoil, I asked softly, why didn't you save me just now, Zhou? Jinghe froze for a moment. He didn't answer. Maybe he didn't hear. 3. When I woke up, Zhou Jinghe was on the phone. Nothing serious, had a full body checkup, just a few scrapes. He took off his outer shell jacket, revealing his tall, cool demeanor and a well-proportioned physique with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. The wound on his forearm was still untreated, and his pants, soaked through with snow, remained unchanged, as if he had been keeping vigil by the bedside all along. I caught a faint floral scent, turned my head, and saw a fragrant lily beside me. Zhou Jinghe's gentle voice reached my ears. Don't take this lightly. Have you gone for a checkup? It suddenly dawned on me who was on the other end of the line. Zhou Jinghe hung up the phone, and upon seeing that I was awake, his expression visibly relaxed. He hurried over to me and asked, is there anywhere else that feels uncomfortable? I said nothing, just staring at the lilies by the bedside. Manjusri just sent that over. Zhou Jinghe paused. Jing, when you slid down with her just now, I threw them away. I cut off. Zhou Jinghe met his gaze, and gave a faint smile. I threw the flowers away. Zhou Jinghe's jaw tightened. He was silent for a few seconds before tossing the lilies into the trash outside the window. The Swiss winter sky is a cool gray blue, while the distant snowy peaks catch a faint pink twilight glow. That was a sign that snow was about to fall. Shen Wenshu and I have been friends for over a decade. Zhou Jinghe stood against the backdrop of this silence. I can explain. Don't bother explaining. I looked at the face that had captivated me for 4 years and said, let's get a divorce. Snow began to fall outside the window, for Zhou Jinghe was standing with his back to the light, so I couldn't make out the expression on his face. Jing, there's nothing between her and me beyond friendship, he sighed, looking exhausted. Can you stop being so impulsive all the time? How strange. I can't muster even a trace of anger. I just wonder, what is it that's wearing you out? Shouldn't I be the one who's emotionally drained? I'm not acting on impulse. The wound on my right arm, now bandaged, throbbed faintly. I'm not discussing this with you. I'm informing you. If it's about not saving you, I apologize. Zhou Jinghe's tone softened. It's my fault, but given my position at the time, rescuing Wenshu was the most convenient option. I know, it's a rational analysis, I said. You were closest to her. She was about to lose control and crash into the rock belt, while I only hit the guardrail. Zhou Jinghe fell completely silent, a trace of gloom settling between his brows, but soon, he regained his usual composure. You're too emotional right now, let's not talk about this, said Zhou Jinghe. Once you've fully recovered from your injuries, we'll go back to our country. Can't you understand plain English? My throat was dry as I repeated myself once more. I'm telling you, I want a divorce. Is that all? Zhou Jinghe said impatiently. Why do you always lose your ability to think whenever she's involved? A flood of emotions swirled inside me, grievance, confusion, anger, all welling up until my nose stung with tears. I'm already very familiar with it. What else? In a moment of crisis, my husband chose to save his old friend instead of me. I emphasize the word old friend. If we're not getting divorced, am I supposed to keep him around for the holidays? Zhou Jinghe fixed his gaze on me for a few seconds before saying calmly, focus on healing your injuries first. 5. After staying in Switzerland for a week, on the day I left, I sent Zhou Jinghe the divorce agreement. Zhou Jinghe was in a meeting, and as usual, he didn't reply right away. I'm not surprised. Zhou Jinghe has always been slower to reply to my messages than to his secretaries. Founded on traditional automotive manufacturing by the Zhou family, Zhou Jinghe broke away 4 years ago to go solo and establish remote new energy. I came to Switzerland to negotiate a very important cross-border collaboration, and the person hosting us from the partner side happened to be Shen Wenshu, Zhou Jinghe's childhood sweetheart and friend of over a decade, and so that accidental skiing incident came to be. During the week I spent recovering from my injuries, I never saw Zhou Jinghe. The one who kept me company was a caregiver he had hired. Zhou Jinghe was consumed by work, and his silence was a unique form of Zhou-style cold violence. Every time, I can't help but be the first to bow my head. While waiting for check-in in Zurich, I happened to run into a fan, a young woman. She screamed with joy when she saw me, which actually made me feel a bit embarrassed and uneasy. After being out of the entertainment circle for a year, the industry has changed so fast. I never expected anyone would still remember me, let alone that we'd meet in the Northern Hemisphere. I feel unworthy of such affection. The girl took a photo with me and got my autograph. As she was boarding, she hesitated for a moment and softly asked, Sister, are you okay? Tears fell without warning. I blinked, but the words I'm fine just wouldn't come out. The girl clumsily wiped my tears and asked, Will you come back, sis? Yes, I will. I laughed and cried at the same time, choking out the words. I'm making a comeback. Actress Bai Jing retired from the spotlight a year ago for love, vanishing from both fame and infamy. Now that love is gone, it's only natural to make a comeback. 6. It was already the next morning when we arrived in the capital. After turning on the phone, there were dozens of missed calls and unread messages, all from Zhou Jinghe. I skipped everything. The long flight had drained most of my energy, so I took a taxi to the apartment where I lived alone before getting married. After hesitating for a long time and taking a few deep breaths, I finally dialed my former agent's number. The phone was picked up just as the last ring faded. Luigi let out a soft chuckle. What, Mrs. Zhou finally has time to call me? The man's voice was clear and gentle, but his words carried a hint of cold sarcasm. It had been so long since I last heard it that it left me dazed. Brother Lu. I paused for a few seconds, then cut straight to the chase. I want to come back. You think you can just come back whenever you want? Luigi's voice betrayed no emotion. Bai Zhang, what did I tell you a year ago when you quit the industry? At your peak, a love-struck fool never ends well. Had enough of being a trophy wife, realized love isn't reliable and want to return now. Newcomers are a dime a dozen in this circle, and there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. I stayed silent, letting Luigi vent all his emotions. In the brief pause between his outbursts, I whispered softly, Brother Lu, please help me. Luigi took a deep breath. Bai Zhang, did I owe you in a past life? I let out a silent chuckle. Day after tomorrow at 8 a.m., How High Media. As soon as Luigi finished speaking, he hung up the phone quickly, as if afraid he might change his mind. The apartment, long unoccupied, was covered in a layer of dust. While the cleaners were tidying up, I stepped out onto the balcony to smoke. My phone buzzed with the 21st call from Zhou Jinghe. I didn't move, blowing out smoke rings. The moment the screen went dark, I suddenly found it hilarious. This is the first time I didn't answer Zhou Jinghe's call. 7. I had a dream, fragmented yet vivid, as if I were truly there. It was still at a ski resort in Switzerland that I first met Zhou Jinghe, dressed in all black, tall and aloof, not much of a talker. His ski goggles and hat covered most of his face as he stood in the snow, broad-shouldered and narrow-waisted. The wind lifted his short hair, revealing a glimpse of the man's high-bridged nose and sharp jawline. My female companion whispered in my ear, "Zhou Jinghe, the second son of the Zhou family, a true crown prince." I smiled in my dream and said, "Seeing is believing." At this moment, the dream turned surreal and bizarre. Ice and snow crept into my chest, and once again, I slipped off the board and fell. That familiar feeling of losing control made my heart sink. At the critical moment, a dark shadow rushed in from the side. Not me. The moment the voice in my heart uttered those 3 words, I fell heavily into the snow. In the distance, Zhou Jinghe turned over and shielded Shinwenshu beneath him, jolting me awake. White gauze fluttered gently in the dim light of dawn, while the digital clock nearby showed 8:10 p.m. Beijing time. I was drenched in cold sweat, gasping for breath, and slowly covered my face with my hands. For years ago, in Switzerland, Zhou Jinghe had indeed saved me when I lost my ski. Surviving the ordeal, I opened my eyes, my ski goggles falling off, and saw Zhou Jinghe's noble face. From that moment, a blizzard fell in my heart, beginning my 3-year secret crush and 1-year marriage. On the day of our family's union through marriage, I met him. He was cold and distant, not recognizing me. Zhou Jinghe forgot. 8. I spent ages getting ready before heading to Haohai, but no matter what I wore, it just didn't feel right. It's only been a year since I left the circle, but that absolute ease with others' gazes has completely vanished from within me. Serves you right. Lu Yizhi set the coffee down in front of me. That's what happens when you've been a trophy wife too long, your brain just rots away. He wore white casual trousers paired with a light gray knit cardigan, with a mullet hairstyle. His features weren't particularly handsome, yet he exuded a gentle and refined aura. The moment she opens her mouth, her sharp tongue gives her away. I lowered my eyes and said nothing. Lu Yizhi was right, and I had no rebuttal. Zhou Jinghe is cold and aloof, with no interest in romance. His social circle is small and exclusive, and all his focus is on his career. Before I married him, I heard many people joking that the second son of the Zhou family was like an unattainable flower on a high peak that no one could ever pick. 4 years ago in Switzerland, he saved me. Before the suspension bridge effect had even fully faded, I was told to go meet my arranged marriage partner. Baning Technology has 3 apparent heirs, all sons, as the only illegitimate daughter. I have no right to refuse. Falling for Zhou Jinghe might have been because of my starved for love personality, or perhaps because the timing was just too perfect, so good that I mistook it for fate. It was a winter day, and I waited impatiently for half an hour in a private cafe. Zhou Jinghe took off his overcoat, bringing in the chill from outside, and gave me a polite nod. "Miss Bai." I turned my head. Beyond the window pane, dark clouds gathered, a blizzard looming. I knew back then that I couldn't escape the snow. 9. I can help you. Lu Yizhi's voice pulled me out of my memories. After all, we've been friends for over a decade. I took a sip of coffee to hide the faint smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. My feelings toward the term old friend are truly complicated now. I hate to admit it, but you're the most naturally talented performer I've ever worked with. Hardworking, quick to learn, and what's even rarer is that face. It's incredibly camera-friendly. Lu Yizhi paused, and his originally objective tone shifted instantly. What a shame. Doesn't know how to appreciate it. What a fool. I blinked. Lu Yizhi was right. There was no arguing with that. I can provide you with resources, so making a comeback won't be difficult for you. Lu Yizhi looked into my eyes. But Bai Zhang, I need you to tell me. Lu Yizhi's words were too solemn, so solemn that my heart involuntarily tightened. Did you choose to leave the industry because you love Zhou Jinghe, or are you just the kind of person who throws caution to the wind once you fall in love? I froze, and the coffee I was holding spilled onto the back of my hand without warning. It was a bit hot, but all my reactions were a beat too slow. Lu Yizhi glanced over, pulled out a tissue, and handed it to him. I'm not going to ask whether you came back because you had a falling out with Zhou Jinghe, playing some sweet wife and domineering CEO game. I was about to argue back, but was interrupted by Lu Yizhi's gently raised hand. Even if not, with one Zhou Jinghe, there can be a Gu Jinghe, a Xin Jinghe. Bai Zhang, love is a lifelong lesson, Lu Yizhi said. If you can't figure this out, you'll keep falling into the same trap over and over again. 10. Returning to the apartment from Haohai, I ran into Zhou Jinghe outside the door. The moment she saw the man, her mind suddenly went blank. It wasn't so much his presence as his outfit today, exactly the same as what he wore when we met on the day of the arranged marriage, a black overcoat over a gray three-piece suit, travel-worn and carrying the biting chill of a harsh winter. The moment he heard the noise, Zhou Jinghe looked up. His brow ridge was too prominent, giving him an intimidating look when he stared at people, just like the way he was looking at me now, with a hint of reproach and concern. He blamed me for returning to China on my own without regard for his plans. We looked at each other without a word, and after a long moment, he turned aside. The moment the door opened, a familiar masculine woody scent enveloped me. My handbag dropped to the floor as Zhou Jinghe pulled me into his arms and pressed me against the door. The hallway was dim. His tall, straight nose nuzzled against my neck as Zhou Jinghe murmured hoarsely, "Baby, don't be mad, okay?" I pushed away Zhou Jinghe's face buried in my neck and asked softly, "What do you think I'm mad about?" Zhou Jinghe froze, pausing for a few seconds before saying, "That day when you slipped off the board, I didn't rush to save you right away." "So what?" I laughed. "Shouldn't I be angry?" The atmosphere froze once again, as the conversation circled back to this very question. For Zhou Jinghe, who always pursues high efficiency, having to go back and forth multiple times without being able to address the root cause would make him irritable. But I've already explained that Manjushri's position is bound to hit the rock belt. She will really die. The familiar impatience reappeared between Zhou Jinghe's brows, and he was genuinely baffled. I made the most rational choice between emotions and life, don't you know? Which one matters more? I know. I leaned against the door, letting out a soft laugh as I looked at him, my nose tingling so much that I kept blinking. "But it still hurts." 11. A tear fell onto Zhou Jinghe's hand, making him flinch instinctively. Even before marrying Zhou Jinghe, I knew this man was overly rational, perhaps even emotionally disabled by nature, but I didn't believe it. Love had clouded my judgment, and I was foolish enough to think, beyond all hope, that I could save him. It turns out that playing the saint in love is just plain stupid. Not only can it not save anyone, but it will drag me down too, just because of this little bit of sadness. Zhou Jinghe gently wiped away my tears, yet his words were utterly cruel. "So you're choosing divorce over this, or is it because of Wen Shu? You've never liked her." Zhou Jinghe spoke quickly, as if he had found some evidence. "Jingjing, once this project is over, I can cut ties with her." "No." I cut Zhou Jinghe off, turning my face away. "Because you don't love me." It took me a whole year, pouring all my tenderness and love into being with Zhou Jinghe, only to arrive at this heartbreaking conclusion. "I wouldn't have married you if I didn't love you." Zhou Jinghe blinked slowly, an expression rarely seen on his face. "Marriage means we share interests. I went against reason to enter this project where the risks are impossible to calculate." Zhou Jinghe's voice suddenly dropped, and he said very slowly, "How can you say I don't love you?" The familiar exhaustion and the helplessness of being unable to communicate washed over me again. I cupped Zhou Jinghe's face and said, "Then it's me who doesn't love you. Do you understand, Zhou Jinghe?" I said slowly, enunciating each word. "I don't want to be part of this project anymore. I've pulled my funding midway." A wave of bitterness surged from the depths of my heart, choking my throat and stinging my nose. My voice hoarse, I said, "Does that make sense to you? Does it fit your logic?" Zhou Jinghe's sideburns prickled against my soft fingertips, ticklish yet with a faint sting. "Just a week ago, he had me perched on the bathroom counter while he bent over to wash up." I laughed as I wiped away the unrinsed foam from the corner of his sideburns. "Go back and sign the divorce papers." I gently brushed my temple, my gaze sliding to the man's deep eyes, and smiled. "Since it's a project, you have to allow it to fail. Let's part on good terms, Mr. Zhou." 12. Zhou Jinghe rushed back to Zurich from the capital that very night. The next day, while discussing work in Luigi's office, I received a WeChat message from him, just 3 words, "I'm here." I stared at the screen, unable to describe the feeling inside me. Zhou Jinghe never bothered with trivial little things like checking in to say he's safe in our year of marriage. I was the only one who would tirelessly keep him updated on my whereabouts. "I'm here, I'm heading out. Honey, I'll be home around 9 tonight." I made a stop gesture to Luigi and replied, "If the divorce agreement looks fine to you, just sign it as soon as possible." Zhou Jinghe didn't reply, and I didn't mind. I locked the screen and continued from where we left off. "I want to audition for Liu Banqian's movie." Luigi raised an eyebrow. "You know the lead actress was already decided. This role is just a third female lead. Liu Banqian, a globally renowned Chinese director, only works with newcomers. The Actresses he casts often skyrocket to fame through his films. Besides, the third female lead doesn't have enough screen time. Luigi asked, "Are you okay with playing a supporting role to a newcomer? Can you swallow that? What's there to be upset about?" I said dismissively. "The screen time may be short, but the character arc is the most complete, that's it." When it comes to selecting scripts, Luigi has never interfered much with me. "I'll secure the flagship reality show on Mango TV for you. Consider it a welcome back gift." By Zhang, the trending topics and pre-release buzz for your comeback have all been arranged. Luigi looked at me with a smile. "This time, don't let me down again." I looked him squarely in the eye and said solemnly, "Never again. I have personally experienced and walked through the life lesson of love, and I have long found my answer." 13. Once the work schedule was released, I entered a busy routine to get back into top working shape. I've gradually resumed my fitness intensity, basic acting skills, and other training sessions. It was indeed hard to adjust at first. During the break, I sneered inwardly. A year of living as a wealthy housewife had made me far too comfortable. The comfort has worn away all ambition and spirit. Zhou Jinghe also returned to the country around this time. He reached out to me twice, using the excuse of discussing the terms in the divorce agreement. "I'm handling this strictly by the book, so I told him to liaise with the lawyer I've hired." Zhou Jinghe paused for 2 seconds on the phone, then suddenly said, "Xingjing, Sister Xiu asked me today what flowers to order for tomorrow." I was slightly startled. Outside the window, dark clouds loomed heavy. It suddenly hit me. The weather forecast had said it would snow today. An indescribable feeling lingers in my chest, weighing it down. It just dawned on me that the fresh flowers at home are always changed, and the garden is so beautifully maintained. Zhou Jinghe said in a low voice, looking at the photos you took. "I realize each season is actually different. It's only 1 week until our first wedding anniversary." I said nothing, even though I had prepared for this anniversary for a long time before going to Switzerland. Sister Xiu also asked me if I should switch the brand that sends me clothes. Zhou Jinghe chuckled. "How come every outfit you pick for me fits so perfectly?" "Jinghe, with your financial resources, you could hire someone to take care of the garden and pick countless professional stylists," I said calmly. "None of this is irreplaceable, don't you think?" I hung up the phone and took several deep breaths until I felt the pent-up frustration slowly fade away. When my emotions finally settled, I glanced at the time. It had taken 12 minutes. "Good," I thought to myself. "You've made something of yourself." Outside the window, a fine, gentle snow began to fall, so light and airy, yet so pure and beautiful. No matter how long the winter lasts, it will eventually pass. 14. The day I was filming the variety show, I trended on the hot search twice. The topic has shifted from my initial decision to leave the entertainment circle for love to the current speculation about whether I'm making a comeback after a divorce. Opinions are all over the place. Luigi was quite satisfied. The entertainment industry isn't afraid of controversy. After all, only nobodies get ignored. "All right, Bai Zhang." He patted me on the shoulder. "After all the blood and chaos a year ago, you're back. And your constitution hasn't changed one bit." I'm a bit speechless, caught between laughter and tears. The day before joining Liu Banjin's film crew, I went back to Bishui Bay in the city center. I lived in the wedding house with Zhou Jinghe for a year. It wasn't a day off, but Zhou Jinghe was unexpectedly at home, dressed in light gray loungewear and looking a bit down. This was a rare occurrence for Zhou Jinghe. After all, he was the type of high-energy person who could pull an all-nighter and show no signs of fatigue after just a cup of coffee. The master bedroom was clean and tidy, with even a faint trace of my usual perfume lingering in the air. My belongings have already been packed by Sister Xiu, except for some personal items that I need to organize myself. Zhou Jinghe followed me step by step, without saying a word. As I was leaving, I turned my head and caught sight of the half-wilted lychee white roses on the bedside table. I changed it myself before leaving for Switzerland that night. As Zhou Jinghe held me, the lychee white roses on the bedside trembled with the surging waves. That night, in a moment of emotional confusion, I coquettishly told Zhou Jinghe that I wanted a child. As always, he turned me down, citing work as too demanding. I lowered my eyes, and in the moment I turned, Zhou Jinghe suddenly hugged me from behind. The man held me tightly, pressing most of his weight onto me as if demanding something. Zhou Jinghe inhaled deeply from my hair, letting out a satisfied sigh. I know I was wrong, but I don't know where I went wrong. His voice was low and hoarse. I've seen a therapist. I'm getting treatment, baby. Zhou Jinghe buried his head in the crook of my neck. Give me one more chance, okay? 15 Zhou Jinghe never bows his head. Born with exceptional intelligence into a wealthy family, his academic and professional life has been smooth sailing all the way. His status and position require neither empathy for others nor unnecessary compassion. I refused to believe in bad omens, walked in with a heart full of love, and ended up battered and bruised. Jinghe, I said softly, I've given you plenty of chances already. Zhou Jinghe's body stiffened. I pulled myself free from his embrace, holding my bag in one hand while my other hand wrapped around his wrist. This is the master bedroom, I said suddenly. Every time you're in the study, I wait for you at the head of the bed. Zhou Jinghe didn't react in time, but you're so hard to wait for. Why do you love work so much? You're either working overtime at the Randi Center or having meetings in your study, with domestic and international calls coming in one after another. So many times I fell asleep without you beside me, and woke up to find you still gone, on this bed. We've had sex more often than we've held each other. Zhou Jinghe was about to speak, but was interrupted by the action of being led out of the master bedroom, by this spiral staircase, as I wait for you in the reading nook nearby. I can always tell your mood from the sound of your footsteps. A light, slow pace means you're in a good mood. A hurried, heavy one suggests work isn't going well, but most of the time, your steps are neither rushed nor unhurried. Zhou Jinghe suddenly realized something and urgently called out, Jingjing. I turned a deaf ear and went down to the living room on the first floor. I've waited here too, but most of the time I was alone. In the first year of our marriage, we sat side by side on the sofa only 35 times. I blinked hard, holding back the sting of tears. That's the kitchen. I made you hangover soup and late-night snacks countless times. You're not used to Sister Show's cooking. I turned to look at him and said softly, of course you're not. Your picky palate. Didn't I spoil you into that? Zhou Jinghe's eyes reddened, his chest heaving violently. He tried to speak, opening his mouth several times, but no sound came out. I've waited too many times. I made up my mind. I don't want to wait anymore. 16 The air fell into a silence so profound that even the whisper of the wind outside the window was distinctly audible. The weather forecast shows that this winter, Jiangqing will experience a blizzard not seen in over a decade. Zhou Jinghe, I looked at his hand gripping my wrist so tightly that his veins bulged, and asked, do you know where our first meeting was? The cafe downstairs from my office. Zhou Jinghe replied quickly, it was winter, the day before Christmas. No, I shook my head. It's in Switzerland. Zhou Jinghe was stunned. At the same ski resort. You saved me when I lost my board, I said. 4 years later, between me without my board and Shu, you chose to save her. I don't know. Zhou Jinghe was almost incoherent, losing his composure for the first time. I was wrong. It was my fault. I shouldn't have analyzed the situation. I should have saved you first. No, I repeated. But this time my voice cracked with tears. You still don't understand. Zhou Jinghe's eyes were red as he shouted, then teach me. My breath caught in that moment. After a long silence, I let out a sarcastic laugh. I've been teaching you for a whole year, and you still haven't learned a thing. Zhou Jinghe, loving you, I choked up for a moment before finding the courage to continue, is something I have never regretted. To love someone is to give them your whole heart and be generous in your devotion. I even take pleasure in this desire to control every aspect of your life, from what you wear to what you eat, where you live, and how you get around. I thought I could move you. The bitterness in my throat stung so much that even the tip of my nose ached. But in Switzerland, after you saved Shu, you couldn't even understand why I was angry. Tears streaming down, I sobbed. Why can't you understand? Love is what transcends reason. I covered my face. But your reason will always have the upper hand. I have fully accepted the truth. Zhou Jinghe simply does not love me. Zhou Jinghe let go of my hand and stumbled backward. I turned and walked away, and he made no further attempt to stop me. 17 Zhou Jinghe has been delaying signing the divorce agreement. I've heard about how he's been doing from many people. Zhou Jinghe, that golden boy, hasn't been having the smoothest time lately after years of non-stop operation. The work routine completely spiraled out of control and backfired, following systematic psychological Counseling and treatment, his body finally sent him a warning. Zhou Jinghe took the annual leave he had accumulated over the years and returned to Bishui Bay for a peaceful recuperation. My relatives and both sets of parents have called me, and between the lines, they were all urging us to make up. The reason surprised me. Without exception, everyone said, Zhou Jinghe can't live without you. I just find it ironic that in every past argument, they always assumed I would be the one to back down. First, after all, when it comes to love, the one who loves more is the one who's weaker. On the day I wrapped up my scenes, Luigi treated the entire crew to a lavish feast in my name. Luigi is a notorious miser who wouldn't give a cent to anyone. There's no way he'd be this generous. Sure enough, when I returned to the lounge, I saw Zhou Jinghe, wearing a gray sweater under a black coat. He was as tall and aloof as ever. Upon seeing me enter, he quickly rose from the sofa. He had lost so much weight that the sharp, almost intimidating edge in his demeanor had only grown more intense, yet, whenever he looked at me, his eyes would always hold a glistening, wounded plea. Luigi, catching the hint, said, "Let me go brew some tea for you all." The sound of the door closing was so distinct, leaving only him and me in the room. "I don't want to sign." Zhou Jinghe walked over and hugged me, cutting straight to the chase without any preamble. "Tell me, what should I do to make it right?" I sighed. That was Zhou Jinghe for you, always so straightforward when it came to emotions, lacking any of the tact and dignity expected of an adult, so blunt it could cut me. "Baby," Zhou Jinghe, seeing no reaction from me, held my hand against his face and whispered, "Let's not get divorced, okay?" 18. The warmth of her cheek felt so familiar against my palm, I suddenly said, after calming down these past few days. "I've thought it over too. You were right to save Shu." "No," Zhou Jinghe suddenly looked up. "It's wrong, otherwise, you wouldn't have divorced me." "You still don't get it. The divorce isn't because of Shu. She was just the trigger." I stared at him for a few seconds. "The real reason is that you don't love me, or maybe you're just broken, born with an emotional defect that can't be fixed." "I'm getting treatment." Zhou Jinghe's voice was thick with nasality. "I'm seeing a therapist now." I ignored him and continued, "At that moment, she was in more danger than I was." "You did the right thing, but I just can't get past it." "Reason is right," I said. "Emotion is wrong." Zhou Jinghe's trembling passed into my hands. In that moment, he looked utterly pathetic. Like a stray dog, he kept rubbing against my palm, repeating as if clinging to some kind of proof, "I'm seeing a doctor now. Can you give me another chance?" "But I don't love you anymore." I pulled my hand back, my tone so calm. "How are we supposed to go on living like this?" The wind howled outside the window, a heavy silence enveloping us, until Luigi's knock on the door set time in motion again. He walked in carrying a tray, followed by a waiter with tea and pastries. As if oblivious to the undercurrents, Luigi asked, "Tea or coffee?" "Coffee." I stepped back, while Luigi moved forward, offering the tray to Zhou Jinghe. "And for you, President Zhou." It was a highly rude and presumptuous move. Luigi was forcibly trying to ease the tension. Zhou Jinghe watched coldly for a few seconds. The moment he reached out, his hand accidentally collided with Luigi's raised hand, and in an instant, the tray toppled over. "Bro Lu." At the critical moment, I instinctively grabbed Luigi, and the tray hit the ground with a loud crash. In just a few seconds, it was all over, and a splash of scalding tea soaked the hem of Luigi's clothes. The other half spilled entirely onto Zhou Jinghe's hand, and in an instant, a large patch of red spread across his fair skin. In the chaos, a waiter brought a handkerchief, and the secretary waiting outside for Zhou Jinghe burst in upon hearing the commotion, creating a noisy scene. I stood frozen in place, and it was only after a long moment that I seemed to snap out of it and turned to look at Zhou Jinghe. Zhou Jinghe is crying. 19. Expressionless, yet tears streamed down uncontrollably. There was an indescribable eeriness on his mature face. "Holy shit," Luigi muttered under his breath. "Am I seeing a ghost?" "My assistant has a first aid kit," I quickly told the secretary, then turned and pulled Zhou Jing by his uninjured hand into the bathroom. The sound of water drowned out all silence as I held Zhou Jinghe's hand under the faucet, rinsing it clean. Tears dripped onto the marble surface of the vanity. I gently wiped them away and said, "Zhou Jinghe, stop crying." Zhou Jinghe froze for a moment, then raised a hand to touch his cheek. Our bloodshot eyes met in the mirror. He asked, dazed, "Am I crying?" Zhou Jinghe covered his eyes with his hands, veins bulging on his neck and the back of his hands. His chest heaved violently as he asked, In a hoarse voice, that day, did you feel the same way? I paused mid-motion. For some reason, a belated wave of overwhelming grievance surged into my throat and the tip of my nose. I blinked hard, but my vision still blurred. Jing, Zhou Jing had choked out. That day when I saved Shinwen Shu, were you even more heartbroken than I am now? Zhou Jinghe's tears, as big as beans, fell one by one onto the tabletop. The misplaced emotions now surged back fiercely, engulfing both me and Zhou. Jinghe, I'm sorry. Zhou Jinghe roughly wiped away his tears, unable to even meet my eyes, bending over as if he couldn't bear it anymore. His voice was muffled by his hands as he repeated in a low, choked tone, I'm sorry. At that moment, Zhou Jinghe understood everything, but it was too late. The man's sobs were hoarse, filled with grief and utter despair. I silently walked out of the restroom and closed the door behind me. Lu Yizhi stood on the balcony, smoking, beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Thick leaden clouds hung low, and another snow of this winter, he had lost count of which one, began to fall. He handed me a cigarette. I took it in silence, and after smoking for a while, I suddenly said, Bro Lu, I think I finally get what you meant about life's lessons. Heavy snow fell in swirling flurries, blanketing the earth in a vast expanse of white. In the silent, soundless world, Zhou Jinghe's sobs could be faintly heard. The blizzard has arrived. 20. It was in spring that Zhou Jinghe finally signed the divorce papers. Back then, I was filming in the remote northwest, and the conditions were truly harsh. I had to carry the entire production on my own, so exhausted that I'd crash into bed the moment I wrapped each day. Zhou Jinghe had a major project that required him to be stationed in Switzerland. 3 days before his departure, he texted me in the middle of the night, asking if we could meet up. It wasn't until the 4th day, when the filming location changed, that I saw the message. Sitting on the roof of the car at night, gazing up at the brilliant starry sky, I finally managed to catch a faint signal. I was extremely embarrassed and quickly apologized, explaining that I was out filming. After a moment's thought, I sent my location over as well. It was followed by 2 handshake emojis, which at first glance looked even more businesslike than the message I sent to my partner. At that moment, I suddenly burst out laughing. Lu Yizhi came out and scolded, laughing so creepily in the middle of the night, Are you out of your mind? I pulled the blanket tighter around me and said, swaying slightly, I'm happy. Lu Yizhi held a tablet in his hand. Let's go over the schedule first. You're about to wrap up filming, so I've packed your calendar with commercial gigs in every spare moment. That year, my career took off across the board, and my work schedule was so packed that even sleep was a luxury. With skyrocketing popularity and overwhelming traffic came unstoppable doubts. Perhaps it was just a matter of luck, but I have consistently missed out on major awards. Lu Yizhi is quite philosophical about it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Now that we've got the traffic, I'll just let fate take care of the rest. I'm reading the script and sigh, but I just want it. Lu Yizhi handed me a notebook and said, Liu Banshan is making a comeback, and this time he's not using newcomers. Take a look and see if you want to go for it. The notebook reads, The blizzard has arrived. I smiled and said, I'm determined to win. From casting to pre-production, The blizzard has arrived took half a year, and another half a year was spent on filming. The film's journey has been fraught with misfortune, and just before its release, it was repeatedly delayed due to censorship and other reasons. In the 4th year of my comeback, I reached the age of 30, and my career was nearly at its peak. Except for one thing, I still lacked a prestigious mainstream award. Another winter had arrived. On the morning after a heavy snowfall in Jiangqing, I received a call from Lu Yizhi. My old friend of many years was more excited than ever, almost shouting into the phone, The blizzard has arrived, has been selected. I didn't react in time. Lu Yizhi smiled and said, Bai Jing, you're going to become a best actress. 21 years after the divorce, I saw Zhou Jinghe again at the awards ceremony. After being shelved for 3 years, the blizzard has arrived, swept all 3 major domestic awards and claimed the highest honor at an international film festival. With boundless fame, countless top endorsements came pouring in, including the vehicle allowance from Zhou's remote new energy. In recent years, Zhou Jinghe's career has been on the rise, riding the wave of government support. His brand's image is too high-end, and he has never considered endorsements. Extending an olive branch to me is a win-win cooperation. As a sponsor and brand representative, Zhou Jinghe was invited to attend the country's top film awards ceremony. Online public opinion is already brewing. Back then, I quit the entertainment circle for Zhou Jinghe, only to make a comeback a year later after our relationship fell apart. The scandalous romance between him and me has always been a hot topic of discussion, but none of that had anything to do with me. As I adjusted my gown in the dressing room, a wave of indescribable tension suddenly washed over me. Blizzard has arrived has consumed so much of my heart and time. This film means the world to me, and I hope it brings me a sense of fulfillment. Many years later, I still can't forget that night. The moment the host unfolded the sealed letter and read out my name, the entire venue erupted in thunderous applause. I stood up as if in a dream, shaking hands all the way, and when I stepped onto the podium, the most brilliant lights shone down on me. In a daze, Zhou Jinghe and I locked eyes for a fleeting moment. His eyes held a smile, yet they were also glazed with tears. I nodded to him with poise and grace. After finishing my words of thanks, I paused for a few seconds and took a deep breath. My name is Bai Zhang. I held up the trophy, smiling under the dazzling starlight. I want to be like a kite, always soaring higher, never looking back, the end.